The Human Security Officer, Part 63. The golden robes of the Imperial High Commander, now rumpled and discolored, emerged. Officers fled in fear as alarms flashed behind him, pleading with the commander. "We'll give you everything you want, Stone, but you have to stop this," his voice hoarse. We attempted to halt this before it started by leaning forward in his command chair. "Told you many times, but you refused to listen. We didn't comprehend that." The commander acknowledged that we never realized that was your issue, Stone, and we assumed your warnings were simply petty bluster. Disturbed you in a way you never would have thought possible, and your kingdom increased by. When you defeat lesser species, you fail to consider the possibility that you may encounter a greater opponent on the tactical display. Human fleets moved with additional systems that switched from Imperial Red to neutral green. Accuracy via the demolition of military installations in former Imperial space, but ignoring civilian infrastructure, commander of your soldiers. Find it difficult to comprehend that they no longer bomb planets or destroy cities. You explain to Mercy why, as we recall Stone's explanation that all people learn about. Total War's atrocities demonstrate what occurs when war takes over. Everything, which is why we told you that we just wanted you and didn't want this conflict. General Hayes' voice appeared on a secondary channel to leave us alone. We have taken control of their primary shipyards, Admiral, and their capacity to construct warships is now totally destroyed. The Imperial commander looked on in despair as reports of additional losses flowed into the inflexible military doctrine of the Empire, which remained unaltered for. Human tactics have no counter for decades. Every conflict introduced fresh shocks and techniques that Imperial. The commander ultimately requested, "Tell us how," as the troops were unable to oppose what you wanted. To conclude, Stone raised his voice, uncompromising yet powerful. Freedom for all conquered planets and the surrender of all Imperial military forces. To follow their own course, and also what your empire will record. Everything that took place here, how you disregarded our advice, and how your conceit caused you to lose, will be remembered by future generations. Must comprehend the significance of listening when someone attempts to stop a conflict. The commander nods slowly in despair. "And you'll cease, after which we'll assist you in rebuilding," Stone said, "not as an empire." However, humans remember our past as equals, punishing the vanquished as well. Brutally only fuels more conflict, and as the broadcast concluded, Captain Black turned. "Was this unavoidable from the minute they discovered Earth, Stone, sir?" Stone looked. Viewing the tactical display where former Imperial planets were now protected by human spacecraft. "No, they had a choice. We offered them every opportunity to leave, but they choose to go to war." Rather, he stopped to see another Imperial fleet give up without battling. Let this serve as a lesson to the galaxy, Stone, who said that people don't. We've had to be skilled at war, therefore we crave it, but we'll always attempt to warn. Don't force us to explain to you why. A year after the Empire's capitulation, the representatives from 100 worlds gathered in the freshly constructed Galactic Council chamber on Mars. The enormous space, with its lofty the stars above the crystal dome represented the alterations that have changed the galaxy. Admiral Stone, watching his erstwhile Imperial planets and recently liberated species take their places while acting as Earth's ambassador. General Hayes stood next to him, and the two men were now dressed in the basic blue uniforms of. "It's difficult to believe that the new Galactic Federation has only existed for a year," Hayes stated. Silently, The galaxy has changed entirely, and Stone nodded. Wow. Occurs when individuals are allowed to follow their own path. Without the Empire's influence, the last year has seen notable changes. Persecution had uncovered latent abilities and technologies on many planets. Some were excellent builders, while others were born. Some scientists and diplomats have scientific discoveries that even people found astounding. The previous chief counselor of Stone was contacted by a regular representative of the Empire. Admiral, the golden robes had been swapped out for plain civilian attire, and he looked considerably. The updated training program, which is older than previously, is prepared for your evaluation, Stone. Turned on a tablet and read the document, which was called First Contact. Every military academy and diplomatic school learns the Earth lesson. Would now instruct on how the Empire's worst setback resulted from disregarding the straightforward warning in the former Imperial space. Everyone must comprehend what transpired and why the wonderful stone was accepted. As Captain Black, the current commander of the Federation's peacekeeping fleet, took the stage, the room fell silent. A big screen behind her displayed pictures from the conflict, but not actual combat. It displayed the cautions, peacemaking efforts, and ultimate mercy shown to vanquished adversaries. She started the galaxy a year ago, and it changed not because of who won or lost conflict, but because we all gained knowledge. The Empire believed it was stronger, meant possessing the largest vessels and most potent weaponry, but they were mistaken. The screen displayed Earth's history, including ancient conflicts, global conflicts, and ultimately the lengthy article that resulted from seeing the genuine cost of war, real courage, and black perseverance. Originates from knowledge gained by attempting to avoid war and understanding when to stop fighting. Earth attempted to warn the Empire rather than win them over because people recalled their own horrific history. Lieutenant Wilson, who was keeping an eye on communications from his post, grinned and said, "Among the stars," not wanting to repeat it. He heard from people all around the galaxy that former Imperial planets were prospering under. The Federation isn't based on self-governance, and trade routes were busier than ever. Old foes were turning into friends. Black emphasized that force, like the Empire, is based on choice in every way. Every species in our world has an equal voice, and the majority of. As delegates from several planets nodded in agreement, it is crucial that we all share what we know. Humans have imparted their military expertise to others to teach them self-defense techniques rather than to threaten them. According to an ancient human proverb, Imperial planets openly shared their riches and technologies rather than hoarding them. Determined that a victory in which no one must battle the Empire is the finest. I never got it, but I believe we all do today. As the session came to a close, Hayes turned. To believe that we would never have to engage in another conflict the way that Stone did. Around the room where formerly adversaries now collaborate as comrades without the. In addition to smiling, Galaxy learned its lesson. Today, everyone knows whether you're. If you're considering launching a battle and others advise you to flee, you should definitely pay attention outside the chamber's windows. In the distance, spacecraft from 100 planets moved smoothly across space while Earth shone brilliant and blue. A group of young aliens is ruled by crews that are no longer separated by Imperial ranks. A new plaque being erected outside the chamber's entryway caught the attention of diplomats. It said, "Outside remembrance of those who served and lost their lives in unnecessary wars. May we pay tribute to them by listening to the warnings that might save the next one." Instead of using force to dominate the galaxy as the previous empire had intended, they united it by providing everyone with a purpose to function together, and it all began when they disregarded human warnings. In his chamber, Gareth and Penn were conversing when they felt the ship's gentle lurch as it dropped out of FTL. The room's metal walls echoed with the sound of the impulse engines. In his own way, Gareth groaned, "I'll wager we're here." Penn's head cocked. Her small buddy, if she was not incorrect, was not too excited to go to this event, whatever it was. "Are you not thrilled?" "I would have assumed that the diplomatic aspect would make you pleased. Chatting business and rubbing elbows." "I am. I like these kinds of events. But, well, nothing major. I should begin preparing. After all, this isn't just any port station. It is a formal environment." "A ball?" "That wouldn't be wrong. There will be dancing as well as music from many species. Human dancing is not something I would anticipate, but because there is a human ambassador, it is possible. However, I have a feeling it will be some of your more formal dance moves. Are you aware of the many human dance styles? As I've already said, I educate myself on the cultures of all animals. Of course, I have studied the many ceremonies of your people." His tone was insulting, and Penn laughed. She became aware that his mood was rather evident from his body language. He would nearly blow up and toss his head back or turn it to one side when he was humiliated or ashamed. "Just enough, just enough. I apologize." Her cynicism had a caustic tone that he had acquired well. "Yes, I'm positive." He got up from his desk, went to his closet, and opened it. "I'm able to wear anything other than a habsuit at last. Down there, the environment is set up for Wayland life. Although it later fell under stronger Federation administration and developed into a major metropolis, it was really inhabited by us at first. Actually, it's a very amazing engineering achievement. Every species can survive there without the need for suits or other aid. Entire portions are constructed to support their particular kind of life. Oh, there are gardens. Not just gardens, but a whole network of interconnected biodomes that support native plants of each member species. More than 20 distinct biomes are available for you to explore." In any case, he realized he had turned back and forgotten about the garments. They even provide tours and explain the biology. As he turned back around, she said, "That sounds cool. I suppose it's not your thing." "No, I do mean it. I could carry my sketchbook." "You could. There are seating areas that are open all day. However, they do have the day-night cycles of the original planet, so sometimes it becomes dark. By your mind standards, the ocean exhibit is almost always gloomy." He looked at his hanging clothing, which had a strange feel and were composed of an alien substance that shimmered and felt like straw. In terms of style, they brought to mind the few images of ancient Greek attire that Penn had seen. They seemed to be designed to drape over the user rather than adhere to them, since they were airy and light. Additionally, she once again became aware of how much of his face his breather truly covered. It was conspicuous by its absence. As she saw anything else, she said, "Huh." "Yes?" Without turning, he asked. "Have you become more orange than you once were?" He was. The once pink colors have become more deeply orange. She hadn't noticed the shift until now, since it had been so gradual. "Yes," he said with a laugh, "it's a typical cycle for Wayland guys. I believe the best way to describe it would be molting. Just cells changing on their own. It implies that I should at last get over that vulnerability. Ah. No need. It was better than the alternative, as I mentioned. She didn't continue speaking. There was stillness for a few seconds. Then he drew down a piece of clothing that was finely embroidered and held it against his body. What does the human say? Nice design, huh? Gareth gave an eye roll. What? Nothing at all. You're not a clothier. As if to inquire what more he would have anticipated, she shrugged at him. He was not quite able to argue. The best way to characterize her outfit would be austere. All right, so you have to choose between these two. He raised two pieces of different color and pattern in the air. The first is cream with red patterns, while the second is cream with navy blue patterns. All right? Wait a minute. I am pondering. I was too fast at first, and now I'm too slow? He let out a sigh. At some point this century. All right. Okay. You look better in blue than in red. It's blue. Placing the garments on his desk, he gestured to the door. Let's check with Deed first. I'll change before we depart. You got it. He inflated the device, and the two of them exited his room after she gave him a breather from the shelf beside his door. Are you wearing something formal? As they strolled, he inquired. Well, for the object? I had no intention of going. Oh, I suppose I simply assumed. Really not my speed. All right, that makes sense. Deeg was jumping out of his chair as they entered the bridge. Oh, that's excellent. Gareth, are you ready? Yes. Great. With all the commotion, we're cutting it tight, so we're going there as soon as we land, which is soon. We also have transportation waiting for us. All well, then I'll go change. I guess you prefer the quiet, Pen. When we return, I'll see you. I'll prepare myself too, Pen. I want to make sure that no one blows up the ship while we're away, okay? She chuckled. Achievable. Deed turned to talk on the ship's communication system. In a short while, we will start adjusting the atmosphere and gravity of spacecraft to match those of the planets. Class 3 housing. Before returning to overseeing the landing process, Penn saw Tun double-check their breathing. After getting ready, Deeg and Gareth headed to the bay where Penn was assisting with the lifting of some of the bulkier containers. When she turned to face Deeg, she saw that he was not wearing a habsuit, but rather a breather. Wearing the blue and cream outfit, Gareth seemed to take pleasure in not having to take a break. The two looked really decent, and Penn couldn't dispute that. The discrepancy was more noticeable since habsuits didn't really take appearances into consideration. As the bay door dropped, she said and waved to them, "Hafuyuan." After returning the wave, they descended the ramp and boarded a transport. In a little period of time, Penn and the cargo crew were just conversing and relaxing. There wasn't much to accomplish that Penn wasn't able to complete quickly. What exactly is this event? I've heard that it's in the middle of a conference and a ball. SM sitting on top of a box, he piped up. In essence, representatives are sent by all of the major trade, merchant, energy, and production companies. Everyone gathers, eats, and looks for bargains. A large assembly of well-known figures. I had no idea we were so well-known. We're not, Plur said cynically. Then, both of them answered simultaneously. Gareth. Oh? Didn't he tell you? Tell me what? Plur leaned in conspiratorially and whispered, well, I'm not one to talk about other people's business, but Gareth always gets an invitation from his former bondmate. No. They never developed a relationship. Before the ceremony, she ended it. SM fixed. All right. I apologize. He was engaged to someone, Penn almost screamed. I have no idea what that is. It's the stage after proposing, bonding, I suppose, but before the ceremony happens. Indeed. That's right. That period of time isn't important to them, in my opinion, but it is. And she extends these invitations to him every cycle. As an expression of regret for ending things? Is she still your friend? Oh no, Penn. On the contrary, Plur said. SM climbed on the rumor train. It's a remarkable insult. She keeps reminding him of their status disparity by doing this. A distinction in status? Indeed, in Wayland society, the number of employees you have and their level of talent or individuality indicate your prestige. It's an ancient custom since they developed as a merchant-dominated society. Successful merchants with fleets of trade ships and all the personnel required to operate them are highly regarded in their culture. Gareth wouldn't be seen as very successful, then? No, only one ship without even the captain on board? However, he won't let the chance slip away, will he? If Gareth persisted, Deed wouldn't go, but they both understand the need of attending, even if his ex-fiancée disparages him the whole time. That's awful. It doesn't matter how many workers someone has. As far from Wayland culture as he has come, he doesn't usually, but many Wylands notice his physical abnormality and poor status. And there is a limit to how much one can overlook. Physica, oh, he mentioned that he was unusually tall for a Wayland. Huh. Genetic chance. Nothing he can control, yet it is seen as very undesirable in a guy in Wayland society. I would have assumed that height would be advantageous. Does it work that way for people? Plur inquired. In general, yes. It's a desirable quality. However, individual preferences differ. For Wayland guys, however, it's the complete reverse. Women should be as tall as they can be, and males should be as tiny as they can be. That seems strange to me. Same here, but I guess this sexual dimorphism creates strange standards of beauty. I suppose she simply taunts him all the time? Yes, as far as I'm aware. Holds it over his head, if I understand correctly. You said that it's not simply the quantity of workers, but also their level of expertise in their respective fields. Yes, as well as originality. Penn got up. I might actually go after all.